Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. I'm John, coming to you today with some bothersome things that it's been on my mind most of the evening and most of the day yesterday, with this push for Kamala Harris to be the anointed great one. The coronation is in progress, according to mainstream media. They're saying that she's raised over $100 million since Sunday. And which brings me to wonder what happened to our president. Do we still have one? No one's heard from him. There's been no appearances, no pictures, nothing. But Kamala says he's on the mend. According to his doctors, he's doing very well. Where is he? Is this where's Waldo? But where's Joe? And why all of a sudden are we a rudderless ship without a leader, without a captain? What's going on? And do you not realize that the despots all over the world are looking at us as a rudderless ship right now with no leadership, and a coronation process taking place for a suspected run by Kamala Harris, and now I guess she's gathered enough delegates to stay in that spot. Is this engineered? Is Joe such a coward and so hurt by his own party that he can't face the United States of America, the people who put him there?
Ooh, I broke his brain.
And you want to talk about destroying democracy? This man had the votes in the primary, and they've just dismissed it. How is that protecting democracy? How do you think those people who put their votes and trust in Joe Biden feel about being turned to the side? And now Kamala Harris is the greatest thing that ever happened to prosecutors, and she's going to take a prosecutorial approach at dealing with Donald Trump because he has been convicted by the kangaroo court in New York, and she's going to use several methods of that as a prosecutor to win an election. She didn't do very well in California as a prosecutor. There's a lot of people out there that would like to tell you their story about how great a prosecutor Kamala Harris was in California. We have just witnessed almost 4 years of her vice presidency, which accomplished nothing except cackling on a few mainstream media shows such as The View and several others that she went on, Ellen DeGeneres. She thinks that every black person in the United States and every Spanish person in the United States are going to vote for her because she's a person of color. Well, that may work in some cases. But she forgets that she's been part of the collapse of this economy. And she's been part of what's wrong with the three-letter agencies that have been corrupted and weaponized to use against opponents by her party. She herself has been part of this, along with Joe. She had one job to do, and that was rein in Mayorkas and make sure he didn't make huge mistakes at the border. How well did that work out? We have upwards of 20 million people in this country now that should not be here, and caravans waiting to add to that. This is a fact. How do you cover these facts up? The lies are already being generated to help her win an election, And whether or not we buy off on those lies and decide to listen to them, then that's our problem.
Oh, snap.
But we, the people, the voters in the United States of America, have a say in this, and we need to make sure that our say is heard and heard loudly. And Donald Trump needs to mind his P's and Q's when it comes to attacks on this woman, because they will use it against you. And that same thing goes for J.D. Vance. We have an opportunity to get back on track with this country, and the world, as it sees us now, is weakened. And we need strength brought back, not only to the White House, but all our three-letter agencies. Our government in itself needs to be strengthened. Our budgets need to be balanced. Out-of-control spending needs to stop. We need to get our dollar back on the stage, the world stage, as the earmark for success.
Excellent, excellent.
We need to get out of the wars that we have no business being in. And we need to bring peace and prosperity back to several regions that are hurting right now. We need to bring the American workers back into factories, back into office buildings that are non-occupied right now, and start building this economy back to where it was during the Reagan years, during not so much the Bush years, but Trump's years. He has the ability to do this. So do other candidates that may be out there, such as RFK Jr. We're not promoting anyone here, but I have to warn you that what you're going to hear from the Kamala campaign is going to be more of the same, no matter how they shade it, no matter how they tell you it will be different, no matter how they tell you it's going to be best for America. It's not. She does not have foreign diplomacy experience to take her into that stage of negotiations for peace throughout the Middle East region and the Donbass region. And certainly she's not going to be able to deal with China, North Korea, and Russia in any great fashion. Not only does she not know these people and what they're capable of, the passion and the ferociousness of some, she's not ready for that. In my estimation, she wasn't ready for the VP position, but she was put there because, like every other diversity hire in that administration, got put there to cover favors. We've had enough of that. We've seen enough of that, and we need to get away from that kind of a government. We need to put people in place that know how, have the ability, have the education, and have the experience to handle what needs to be handled and do it on a timely basis, because the world right now is running out of a lot of things, including patience.
You can either have the money and the hammer, or you can walk out of here. You can't have both.
That brings me to talk to you about the cloud strike, IT upgrade that crippled most of the world for a few days and is still affecting the airlines to the tune of millions of dollars in lost revenue. These are problems that will continue to exist as long as we rely completely on iClouds, blockchains, and things of that nature, tying up everything, and all it takes is one person to make a mistake in an upgrade to cripple an entire world.
That's not right.
Microsoft is not what it used to be. And for all these corporations to be tied up in one basket is not a reliable thing to do in the future. This should prove that to you. Those of us that have run businesses and relied on IT to do seamless upgrades, or even upgrade your personal computer, it's a nightmare. So let's have some more competition in that world of IT, to where we're not reliant on one thing like CloudStrike to keep everything up and running in our corporations, in our homes, in our government. We're in a sad situation right now. We are relying on an election to start the change that we need to bring this country back around. No one man nor woman is going to accomplish that. However, the right person can get it started, and the people that they put behind them to come in and keep it going are the most important thing to us right now in this election. But getting it started needs to happen now. But we have a president that's AWOL. Who is running the country right now? We haven't heard from the president for all we know. He's in the basement dying. We don't know this because no one tells us. But we have a coronation going on. Look at the world news. Look at the Australian news, the European news, Al Jazeera. They're all aware that this country is at the weakest point we have been at in a long, long time. They know it, but it's being covered up by our legacy media, who now, their main thrust is Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. And get Trump, get Trump, get Trump. This is what our mainstream media is focusing on, while we have the CloudStrike thing going on, which you heard almost nothing about through mainstream media. You have an investigation going on with the head of Secret Service that's refusing to answer questions in the Senate hearing. Mayorkas, who has refused to show for it. And now the FBI director, Ray, decides he doesn't want to talk to those people either. What's being covered up here? What is it that we don't know that we need to know? There was a man who lost his life. There were several people injured critically by a shooter that should never have been on that rooftop. And yet the head of the Secret Service, who's been asked to resign by senator after senator, is being told by Mayorkas, who runs her, don't answer their questions. And he's an expert at avoiding questions. We've watched it for the last year now, trying to get answers out of him. Well, Senator, if you'll put it in writing to my organization, we'll try and find you that answer. Yes, ranking member, that's not something I can talk about now because it's an ongoing investigation. This guy is an expert at avoiding answering questions, and now he's schooling her into the same thing. This woman needs to be ashamed of herself, and she should step down on her own what the mainstream media doesn't tell you, that she was in Aspen at a meeting while all this took place and could care less. Her arrogance and refusal to answer questions or give a solution to what is being done to make sure this doesn't happen again doesn't come out of her mouth. She's just worried about keeping her government job so she can get her government pension, and she needs to go back to Coke or Pepsi or wherever the hell she came from for this diversity hire that she is. And she needs to be made to answer the questions or fired. But Mayorkas doesn't have a backbone, and he will never fire her because it exposes him to have to say the truth about what's really going on. Our three-letter agencies have been corrupted, they've been politicized, and they've been weaponized against candidates that are running for office, weaponized against American people. Anyone that has a belief differently than what this regime has is being taken to task. When you can be arrested, convicted, and fined for a hate crime for running your car over a pride flag while you're allowed to burn the American flag in the streets of Chicago, New York, San Francisco, you name it, there's a problem in our justice system. There's a problem in our protective services right now, and sitting at the head of it is the problem. Listen to the experts that are on several of these programs pointing out the mistakes that were made, but yet the head of Secret Service cannot come up and verify that or say how they're going to fix it for the future. These are bothersome things, especially during an election year where you have people running for office out on a campaign trail, out in public, exposed. And I really worry about RFK Jr., but thank God, because of this incident, he now has Secret Service protection.
Oh, nice gaslighting.
Given his family's history, it should have been applied to him a long time ago. But Joe was busy having his people make sure that Robert Kennedy had to spend all his campaign money on his own protection. That's how they got rid of him. Then they lawfared the hell out of his other opponent, Trump, and tried to get rid of him that way. And when that failed, all of a sudden we have an assassination attempt by a 20-year-old know-nothing, then I'm not sure, based on the evidence coming forward, he didn't have help in that.
What in the world?
You know, these organizations such as Iran and ISIS and Hezbollah and Hamas, they all depend on finding the weakest individual in our society and weaponizing them to take the fall and take the shot. And I think if we dig deep enough, which the FBI is stonewalling again, you'll find that there's a connection there somewhere with an organization that set this fool up to do what he did. Unfortunately, innocent people lost their lives as a result of trying to get rid of Trump. And the media is back at the same old and whipping up weak minds to think that he's Hitler, he's this, he's that, he's bad, you need to get rid of him. And this is where all this comes from. They can't do this to people and continue to do it without ramifications of some moron catching on and deciding, I'll fix it. Hard to believe in this day and time that we can be lied to straight-faced every day of our lives by our government, by our news media, which is no longer viable in my estimation. You have a smattering, maybe a handful of people throughout these news agencies that really give a damn. The rest of them are actors reading from a script that's provided to them by someone else with an agenda which they push down to us every day. You have poison on the airwaves in the morning with Morning Joe, with The View, CNN. These people are poisonous with agendas which should never be allowed in a newsroom. When we grew up with newscasters that came on and told you what was happening in this country, in your state, in your city, in the world, and that was it. They weren't opinion generators. They were news reporters. And in some cases, investigative journalists that would dig deeper into a situation and bring you the truth. We're devoid of that now. Now it's politicized to a point where it's glaring. And we have to put up with it. So thank God for platforms such as this, YouTube, Rumble, Truth Social, and there are several others out there, and I'm not sure of the names of them all. But there are avenues that you can find the truth, but not a lot of them. As far as the coronation of Queen Kamala, it continued this morning. They say she's raised, since Sunday, raised over $100 million. Is that believable? We don't know. Where is that money and who put it? But here's the big news, is that celebrities are starting to endorse her. Beyonce. Clooney came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. That worked out so well for Joe, didn't it? He was the first one to turn on him after the debate. And by the way, for those of you that remember Where's Waldo, we're going to get a new book going called Where's Joe? No one has seen or heard from him since this letter hit. And how suspicious is that? That on his personal letterhead, he posts his resignation from the campaign on X with a cryptic letter that he may or may not have signed. Does Joe know that he resigned yet?
It's unbelievable. It's a scam.
Or is that somebody that's helped him along? Because it was a scant couple of days ago that he said that he's in it to win it and he wasn't going anywhere. And the change of heart came, why? Because everyone turned on him? Because Obama stuck a knife in his back? For the second time, Joe? Are you that embarrassed, or are you just a coward to come out and face the American people that put their faith in you and gave you their primary votes to run? Are you the cowardly lion, Joe? I think you are. Or you would have gone to the Oval Office, no matter how badly you felt with your cold, and told us face to face what your plans were to drop out of the race, and why? Not a cryptic letter posted on X. And then you have Kamala running around for a full day after your announcement, running for office. And you supposedly have backed her in this adventure. Is that true, Joe? Did you, or did they just say you did? Now you have every Democratic state governor vying for her second position as VP. All who have run their states into the ground, not only financially, but not taking care of their middle class in any fashion, letting sanctuary city policies destroy their cities, and they want to be vice president. And she'll probably pick one. The state of California, where she was a prosecutor, can tell you stories about how great a prosecutor she was, but they won't, because Newsom is running that state, and he has an interest in getting into major politics, which I think is a disgrace after what he's done to the state of California, but yet there he is. He could be in the running for VP. We're in a sad situation right now as a country, and we need someone with a backbone to step in and start to fix things, because we have a limited time to bring this country back to its former powerful self. And in my estimation, Kamala Harris is not the person to do it in any way, shape, or form, unless you have a laughing contest. So here we are, Tuesday, the 23rd of July, and we have to wait till November to sift through all this stuff, get to the early voting polls if we can, and salvage this country. But it's Taco Tuesday, and my message to you all today is stay far away from legacy media as you can. Find a place if you need to get updates on YouTube here or Rumble and listen. You have a lot of good people on this channel that will report actual happenings to you, and hopefully you'll get the news that you need that's not slanted one way or another. But Taco Tuesday's here. We want you all to stay away from legacy media. Go out and enjoy yourself. Have a taco, have a burrito. Enjoy the day. The wildfires in the western region that have been raging, they found out now is due to fireworks that have somebody lit off and started a forest fire. Not a good idea when you have a drought to be out with fireworks near woods, but people are people, and you can't stop it. God bless all of those people that have suffered as a result of that. We're going to have rain here again on the eastern portion of the Tennessee Valley and up through the south, I guess, today. So we need some rain. We've had a little bit of a drought here. Everything is looking like it's greening back. I'm hoping for a little more rain today, which we're supposed to get this afternoon and the rest of this week with this front moving through. And with that, I would love for you to say a prayer for this country. say a prayer for our leaders that are in charge right now, if we can figure out who that is, because this ship right now is rudderless without a captain, and people around the world, the despots, know it. What a time to make a hit on the United States when we're at our weakest point with no leader that's hiding in a basement, embarrassed to face the public. And they can say that he's the greatest president ever, which is what they're out there saying right now. But if you believe that, then I have a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. So with that, have a great Tuesday. We'll be back here with the Kaiser Report tomorrow, Wednesday morning, hump day. So we'll see you back there then. And until something breaks that's big, we won't be back on the air until tomorrow. So have a great Tuesday and pray. Pray hard for the salvation of this country and for the officials that are in charge to have a awakening and realize common sense should take effect. So with that, I'm going to say, have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye now. See you tomorrow.